Today I want to talk about repairs when you're selling your house. And one of the things that we talk about is there's two phases of the negotiation. The first phase is when you get that initial offer on the house, you negotiate that. That's phase one. The second phase is once the buyer has come in and they're going to start doing their inspections, looking through the house, things like that. And what we want to have happen after that is we're going to have a DDR come through, and that's basically what we call a due diligence repair request. And so if the buyer sees anything that they want to ask for in repairs, typically that's how we get that. And so I want to talk about how to prepare for that as a seller, because that's that second phase of the negotiation that a lot of buyers and sellers, there's a lot of unknowns in that part of the transaction. So we want to prepare you as much as we can as the seller to be able to handle that. And the first rule of thumb that I always tell sellers is, when you're looking at that, you want to make sure that you've somewhat budgeted about 1% of your home towards repairs. Doesn't mean automatically that we're going to have to spend that much, but it's a good rule of thumb to go by. So for example, if you have a $200,000 house, the contract's $200,000, then you want to have about $2,000 budgeted just in case there's things that come up in the inspection report that need to be addressed for the contract to go through. So the other thing that we want to talk about is, we've talked about the amount now, and then the other part is how to handle that. There's really two primary ways to handle repairs. Once we get that repair request from the buyer, we're going to look at it and we're going to decide one of two things. We always typically recommend trying to do a seller credit. We'll give the buyer closing cost credit in lieu of repair if the lender will allow it. There's a lot of variations of whether it will be a good thing to do or whether the loan will allow it or not. But that is the best case scenario for you to handle how to handle these repairs. And the reason is because let's assume for a second that the buyer comes in and they're asking for certain repairs. They've got their list of repairs. We agree to fix them. Then we bring in our contractor and we go out and we do the punch list. Well, then buyer comes through and they don't like the way certain things were repaired. Well, we're back to square one. We've spent money on a contractor. Buyer's not happy. So there is less risk to the seller if we actually do it as a credit in lieu of repair, if that buyer will allow it. Not all buyers want to do that. Some of them want it fixed. We can cross that bridge when we get there. But those are typically the two ways that we want to handle the repair requests that we get from the buyer side. So hopefully this has been helpful. If you've got specific questions about repairs, whether we're talking about after the contract or even before we list the home, feel free to reach out to me and my team and we'll walk you through that process. And thanks for listening. We'll see you soon.